Some good stuff. That's some good stuff.
Hey everybody, how's it going? It's me, Devin Hollister. Today is going to be a big ranking video. Today I am ranking every single movie that I saw in 2023. Now again, before you watch this video, please listen to me very carefully when I say this. It is not every movie that came out this year. It's every movie that came out this year that I saw. So if you don't see a movie that came out on this year and you don't see it on this list, it's because I didn't watch it, all right? So don't ask anything in the comments. It's because I didn't see it, all right? Also, another disclaimer is that I was going to put Wonka on here, but I didn't get a chance to see it, and I kind of just want to stick with my schedule here. So Wonka will not be on this list, but I will have a certain mention in the future about what I did think about this movie, which I'm sure it'll be good because I do like Timothy Chalamet. I am a huge Willy Wonka fan and all that. So. But regardless of that, today how we're going to do this is we're going to do this on this tier list here. So I'm going to go by these movies one by one, and I'm going to put them on, the ranking. So we have from the best one, the best tier list category, which is masterpiece, almost perfect. So basically movies that, were really good. There was just maybe one or two things that just kind of stood in the way from almost masterpiece, So, and then we have pretty mid movies that had a lot going for it, there were so much that was well done in the movie, and then a lot that kind of also got in the way of the experience of actually enjoying it. Could be better. So movies that are not terrible, but obviously just could have been a lot better. It could have held up to that potential that it had, and hopefully the filmmakers would have learned from their mistake. And then just complete filth. So we got a few movies that will definitely be in that category, but not a lot, only a few. Well, I'd say about only one or two, about one or two the movies on here that will be on this tier list that will be in the filth category. All right, so without further ado, guys, so let's get right to it. All right, so starting off with the first one on my list, we have Missing. All right, and I'm going to put this as the first one on Almost Perfect. I really did like this movie. I didn't even know it existed until my girlfriend had told me about it. So she said, "Hey, you want to check out this movie Missing?" I said, "Sure." So we went to go see it, and it's one of those webcam style, movies, kind of like Unfriended, that where there's a lot of crazy shit going on behind the webcam. This all takes place on it's like weird. It's like a whole social media type of computer program webcam movie, But it's well done. It's one of the better ones. I'm not a huge fan of this subgenre of horror films, really. If you could call this movie a horror film. But this movie does a really good job of it. It does a really great job of keeping the suspense. The reveal of who is behind the disappearance of this girl's mother is almost perfect. The main lead girl that you follow throughout this film, she's really well, good actor, and you really have a great time following her throughout the movie. I believe the person that she meets through the whole cleaning app thing was named Javier, and he was a really good standout of the movie. He was a really funny character, and I really enjoyed watching this movie. So I'm putting in the Almost Perfect. Why I wouldn't put it in the masterpiece is because, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the subgenre. Excuse me, I know I'm stuttering a lot. So that's really the only thing that got in the way of this. So a little bit biased on my end, but I think it's completely fine just right there. All right. So this one, I don't know if this is going to get me in a lot of trouble, but we'll find out. Infinity Pool. I really wanted to do a review on this movie, but I figured that the less I talk about this movie, the better. It's going right in filth. Not only do I think that this is the worst movie of this entire year, it's the worst movie that I've ever seen in my life. Honestly, I never thought I would ever come to a realization based on the first watch of a movie that I would ever say that something was so bad it was the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. And I still mean that definitively. I saw this in January, and I still hold that up as this is the worst movie I've ever seen, ever in my life. I understand the creative drive behind it. I understand that there's a lot of ambition and symbolism towards the main character in this movie. But what the fuck is up with all the jizz, the boob fluids, the fucking... I almost threw up in that theater. Mind you, what happened was, right, I didn't even watch a trailer for this movie. Someone back in my old job told me about this movie. I was like, hey, did you hear about it? And I said, no, I didn't hear about this. So I didn't even watch a trailer. I wanted to go into this movie blind because I had never actually done that before. This was the first movie I had ever watched completely blind. I didn't watch a plot, trailer, plot synopsis, anything like that. I didn't even read what it was about. I just wanted to just go in completely blind. And what you have here is Alexander Skarsgård, who is a great actor, you know, along with his brother. And it's just a fucking mess. I mean, first of all, I'm sorry. I don't like Mia Goth. I don't have anything against her. I don't think her or Jenna Ortega, even though she's not in this movie, are great actors. And I bring up her because a lot of people have been holding these two up as the new lead, you know, female actors of the horror genre. I don't think either of them are good. Like I said, nothing against them. This whole plot about, you know, a guy who's able to clone himself after committing crimes. It was really interesting at first because since I was watching it blind, I was like, okay, where are they going with this? Like, is this going to be like a thing where he gets so addicted to it in the end it's going to turn on him? And I understand the whole social message behind this movie about commentary on, you know, what the rich do with their money and all that stuff. It's just, it's a disgusting movie. I mean, seriously, it's more fucking disgusting than Hellraiser Judgment. And it's just, I couldn't watch this film. I could not. I did get through it eventually, but just my whole experience with this movie was just awful. You know, I wish I could say more, but like I said, the less I talk about this movie, the better. So, on to the next. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Interesting story. I waited like a month to watch this. It was in the theater for a little while. Of course, I had to go to a select theater because of, you know, the controversy behind this movie and not every theater wanting to play it, which I get. Now, if you had watched my rant/review video, I said clearly that while I knew this shit was going to be trash, I totally support the idea of, you know, I totally support the idea of turning child favorite friendly stories and spinning it on like a horror thing, you know. Of course, you know, you have to do it right. You have to have like some sort of fun with it, and you have to do it in a creative, smart way. Now, unfortunately, this movie doesn't do that. You know, you take the Winnie the Pooh mask off, you take the Piglet mask off, and you switch the name of Christopher Robin. It's the same fucking movie as like a regular like hillbilly, you know, wrong turn film. But it's not. I actually, and this is going to be a surprise, is I'm not going to put it in the filth category. I'm actually going to put it in could be better. And let me tell you why. While obviously this is a huge dumpster fire of a movie, I actually don't think it's complete filth. There were some scenes in this movie that I actually had, you know, felt there was some charm to. In my review, I said my favorite scene of the film was where Pooh was torturing Christopher Robin. And they kind of actually did an interesting job with kind of showing you Pooh's mentality. I was actually really convinced by it. Um, and I actually think they didn't really do that bad of a job. Now, of course, you've got fucking just terrible characters that don't have no effort of acting or writing to them. You know, all the girls feel all the same. There's nothing special about them. There's this whole weird plot about how the girl was being spied on by an old man. They go nowhere with that. That has nothing to do with the rest of the movie except for that one moment it's mentioned. I don't know where they were going with that plot point, but and not much creative kills. I did like the setting. I think they did a really good job with the set design, even though it's just basically in the fucking woods. Um, but you know, just horrible CGI, horrible. You could just see the bad budget in this film. I mean, you know, I like I said, we all knew it was going to be garbage, but it's not complete filth to me. I think it could have been better, but I don't think it's filth. Um, and hopefully, with the money that they earned through this movie, they will do a better job with what they have coming next. I believe they have a sequel as coming as well. So next one, this one might get me a lot of hate. I don't know, but Knock at the Cabin. I'm gonna put this one in almost perfect. Uh, I thought this movie was really good. Dave Bautista definitely is a standout of this film. You know, Dave Bautista, he's just in almost like everything now. You know, basically what you have here is just two guys and all these people come in and castrate them and just basically say that if one of the family members doesn't die, then the world will end because they got like a vision from God. Now, I'm not really familiar with M. Night Shyamalan's type of film style. I know throughout the years his type of plot twist kind of effort has died down a lot. But I really enjoyed this film for multiple reasons. One is, of course, mainly because of Dave Bautista. Um, Another reason is because they don't shove the whole homosexual dad thing in your face. Normally I hate woke movies, and normally I try to watch it actually without calling it woke. And so I was really glad to see that they were actually able to have me care for these two people and their daughter, rather than they're just be the typical agenda type of thing. It didn't feel like that to me at all. I'm not saying I have anything against gay people. Uh, I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just saying a lot of movies like that are they kind of force it in your face and they kind of just shove it in a lot. But this movie did a good job with that, and you do really care about this family. You really do hope that they get through it at the end, and I felt the ending to be very heartwarming. I know I'm probably in the minority for that. Um, I'm probably in the minority for having a movie like this high up. So, but as of right now, I'm gonna have to put Knock at the Cabin almost perfect. So next we have John Wick Chapter 4, baby, and it is going right up to masterpiece. John Wick Chapter 4. I'm a huge John Wick fan. Maybe I'll even do like a whole review series on that. I love John Wick. This movie was a masterpiece, man. From the beginning to the end, every action sequence that John Wick 4 had, it was truly stunning. A little bit on the longer side of the duration of the film, but it never came to a point where I was like, I had to look at my watch and I was like, oh gosh, how much longer do we have in here? This movie was awesome. I'm kind of on the fence about that ending, like spoilers, but I don't really think John Wick is dead. Um, if he is, that's fine. I'm not torn up about it. I was kind of sad to watch that in the theater and think that first time I watched it. But because there's still a lot more that John Wick can do, or should have done in the film. But regardless, it's a masterpiece because John Wick, he's able to finally earn his freedom. There's a great villain with Bill Skarsgård. Um, you know, lots of great action sequences which make up the most of this movie. It's truly a masterpiece, and action movies like this today, you know, while I don't really know on what the standard should be because I'm not an expert on action, um, I think that this is one of the standards that I would hold up as an action film, and especially for the ending of a franchise, or we could say ending, but money talks. So, Inside with Willem Dafoe, masterpiece. I'm gonna give it a masterpiece. And I know if you've seen the film, and you know the criticism behind this movie, I think I might also be this is probably be a controversial list for a lot of people. Um, but I don't give a fuck about your opinion. So no, I'm just kidding. So Inside tells a story, right, of a burglar named I believe his name was Nemo, and he is trapped inside this art gallery type of uh, expensive penthouse apartment. Because he gets locked in, the security system locks him in, and he just can't get out. So you're stuck with him throughout the entire film, played by Willem Dafoe, and you're kind of watching him kind of lose his mind. But there's a lot of symbolism behind heaven and hell. There's a lot of symbolism behind his mental state around his passion of art and how it moves him, how it persuades him as a character to survive out of this situation. Not no, they don't show much really behind the background of Willem Dafoe's character as Nemo, but what you get is something that is so interpretive. I love it when Willem Dafoe is in types of movies like these where you can take what the clues of what the director or the filmmakers give you, and you could put all the pieces. The pieces are all there, but you could put your own type of story together, and that's what this movie does perfectly. I mean, I really enjoyed this film. I saw it with one of my best friends, so I totally recommend this movie to a lot of people out there. If you guys didn't see it, I don't believe it was really watched a lot through a lot of people. But if anybody watches this, I mean, I think you'll definitely enjoy it. The only thing I could say that I don't like about this movie is the scene where it shows all the shit that he took in the pool. It's not afraid to show all the like I mean literally shit. So yeah. No, Scream 6. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Scream 6 could be better. Could be better. Now, it breaks my heart to say that. I'm a huge, huge Scream fan. I was not the biggest fan of the 5th film that came out last year. It did a lot of good things, did a lot of bad things. I would put it in pretty mid if it came out this year. But Scream 6 could have been better. It had a really cool intro. It was really different. But what you have here is, following these main characters that I didn't even find interesting enough in Scream 5. So it was just kind of hard already trying to watch these characters go through this bullshit again. Going through the New York setting, it was different. I will say, and it was pretty fun to watch. Kind of them utilize the New York setting for this type of film. But there's just so much convoluted shit that happens. Now it's like the writers of these new Scream films. I mean, they I feel like they kind of lost they're just too meta. They're too meta, and they've kind of lost that balance that Kevin Williams and Wes Craven had. There's a lot of plot holes in this movie, such as Gale with the gun. A lot of plot holes concerning who the killers were. Spoiler alert: it was the family of Richie from the 5th film. So we have 3 killers this time, and that whole final act. Let me tell you, right, besides the plot holes that you would have noticed on like a second watch from the beginnings of the film, the first like 2 parts of the film were really good on when I was watching this movie. They were really good. I was like, oh, thank God they learned their lesson from Scream 5. And then you get to the final act, everything was stupid. I mean, I predicted 2 out of the 3 killers. I didn't predict the dude, the other brother, but I mean, who fucking gives a shit about him? But I knew from the beginning there was a line that completely gave it away that the redheaded chick was part of it. You know, not even like 10 minutes in the beginning of the film, she talked about like a brother or something. I was like, oh my fucking gosh, please do not tell me that you just gave that shit away. And I was right. I was sitting next to my girlfriend in the theater. I was like, I freaking knew it. I said 10 minutes into the movie, it was her. And it was the detective dude as well. And like a lot of plot holes concerning Gale, a lot of plot holes concerning these killers because, you know, a lot of stuff that happens in this movie where it's supposed to be directed to the audience if they're watching it for the first time. But when you watch it for the second time, you realize like certain things should not be happening because it's only there for the audience. It's not there for the actual story. It doesn't make any logical sense. All right, so a little bit of change of genre right here. Suzume is an anime film that I went to go see with my friend because he's a huge anime film, and you wouldn't have seen me watching anime unless I'd gone with him. So, Suzume is a masterpiece. I really did like this movie. I'm not the biggest anime fan, but for what this movie was for me, I mean, it was stellar. The animation was stellar. Heartwarming story about, a girl. But, she befriends this guy who becomes a chair, which was really funny. And, you just see them partner up this whole movie. It's really a fascinating story. You have this door that kind of opens this portal. There was like this whole worm tentacle monster that Suzume really had it was kind of the problem. They had to like travel around the world to stop this thing. Obviously there's a lot more to the story. There's a lot more about this character and the reasons why she's doing these things. And it's a really awesome film. So if you guys are a big anime fan and you didn't watch this film, definitely check this movie out. Evil Dead Rise. Evil Dead Rise. This is a hard one for me. I'm gonna put it almost perfect. I'm not a huge Evil Dead fan. I've only seen some of like the second film. There's a lot of plots with this family that you follow throughout this movie. And honestly, I didn't feel like the whole family thing fit well with like the whole Evil Dead thing. I'm not saying it didn't work. It did work. It absolutely worked. Like you cared about this family, you cared about these kids surviving. But the rest of the movie is really cool. There's a lot of horror sequences within the film that I really enjoyed. I mean, you have like this whole bathtub scene. You've got the whole hallway scene that was crazy where she kills the kids and one of the guys. I mean, that shit was insane. I mean, this film, I mean, it was still very good. It was still a great horror film to watch. I still walked away very satisfied from what I experienced watching this movie. So it's not at all a bad movie. It's an awesome movie. It's just not really for me. I feel like I could only watch this movie like once and almost like that. But for me, it was almost perfect. It was really, I really do hold it up high on this list. So next we have the Mario movie, and it is going to be the first one that's in pretty mid. Now I know it's a kids movie. I've heard it all before. I know it's a kids movie. It's mainly for kids. Fine. The animation in this movie is actually very, very awesome. It's really, really nice to look at. You got all these amazing colors and everything. But it's just the story that got in the way. Like everything was just going by so fast, so fast. Like we had no time to like slow down and actually kind of progress through Mario's story. Basically, what you get is just Princess Peach is like, oh, we need a hero. Mario says, oh, I'm a hero. She just takes his word for it. Okay, let's see what you got. And, he does whatever Mario does, and if we just okay, that's it. And then also the whole Bowser, you know, motivation that he just wants to marry Princess Peach. I mean, it was funny. I mean, you get the whole funny song and everything, but it's just not for me. I mean, again, like I know it was a kids film. I'm not bashing it for that. What I am bashing for is just like, can we just slow down a bit and kind of process what the hell's going on here, because everything was just kind of speeding through so fast. I did really like. I liked the voice acting. The voice acting was fine, and the animation, like I said again, was great. But the whole story it felt very rushed, and not really looking forward towards a sequel. I'm not the biggest Mario fan. A lot of good things, and then a lot of things I just don't care for. Renfield could be better. You know, this movie's complicated because this movie has a lot going for it. Nicolas Cage is awesome as Dracula in this movie. Like, he steals the screen on every scene of this film. And then you have Renfield himself, who also the two leads, Renfield and Nicolas Cage as Dracula. They both are fantastic characters in this film. Renfield has a great motivation. Lots of good social commentary about wanting to be free from a abusive, relationship. But where the movie falls flat for me is it's another example of a story kind of being too rushed. And also, Awkwafina is fucking horrible in this movie. She's not a good actress or a good voice actor. She is not funny. She's just not funny, and she is the biggest negative that I have about this film, because her acting is really bad. Really, really bad. Everything she said, every scene that she was in this film, I'm sorry. She just tries way too hard.
You know when something crazy happens and someone's like, it's okay, I've seen way worse. Everything I saw you do today is gonna be my way worse. Like the guy that gets the villain's Postmates.
I mean, if you go watch my review, I kind of elaborated a lot more about her character, her position, her whole existence in this film is just, it's horrible. I mean, I'm sorry, like I hate to be that type of person, but she is not a good actress at all. I mean, it's like watching a toddler try to be funny. I mean, it's not good. I'm sorry. Again, like I said, Nicolas Cage, Renfield, they're all great characters. You really get awesome scenes with all of them. I really like the kind of makeup design that Dracula goes through at the beginning of the film, where he's like kind of rotting and stuff like that. So really awesome story, even though it feels a bit rushed. But the other villains, with the whole mobsters and everything, and Awkwafina, her acting, really, really got in the way of this movie. So I feel pretty confident in putting it in that category. All right, Sisu, old John Wick kills Nazis. That's not what it actually is, but that's basically what it is. Masterpiece. This is a film that I think a lot of people didn't hear about, and that's fine. I saw the preview for this, and I was automatically hooked. I was like, yeah, I have to see that. Definitely, I have to see it. If it's an old man killing Nazis as if he was like an old John Wick, I have to see it. And I saw this film, and it was awesome. It was really awesome. Granted, it kind of pushes the believability of how a guy like this is supposed to survive certain things. For example, he uses a human body as a shield against a giant tank turret, which is impossible because that bullet would have gone right through both of them. But still, it's a really awesome, bunch of awesome action sequences. I love this scene where they kind of delve into his backstory a little bit. You kind of understand like how he is so skilled to fight against these Nazis. Good motivation for why the Nazis are actually hunting him. They want his gold so that they can trade for their freedom, because they know that they are losing the war. So really awesome story. Really awesome motivations. The word Sisu just means, standing up, believing in what you believe, not being a coward, you know. So really awesome film. Totally recommend this film. All right, now time for the like 50,000th movie where animals talk and say the same things over and over again. Strays with Jamie Foxx and Will Ferrell. Put it in filth. All right. It's just not funny. It's not funny. Can we please stop making movies like this? If we're gonna keep making the same jokes over and over and over again, you know, licking my nuts or, you know, eating out of the trash can and shit like that. My owner hates me and all that stuff. It's the same. Whenever you watch a movie like this, you've seen all of them. You know, Beverly Hills Chihuahua, those fucking films. You know, it's just, this movie is just not funny. You know, and the story, I mean, what story? They just do things. I mean, I couldn't even finish watching this, if I have to be honest with you. I got like through halfway of this movie before I turned it off, and I was like, okay, yeah, it's that type of movie. I really don't need to watch the rest of the movie to know what kind of movie this is. So, and if anybody says they like this movie, you're really lying to yourself, because Strays, I mean, come on. We've seen time after time again every movie like this. It's just not good. And that's all I really have to say about it. All right, now Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I'm going to put it in almost perfect. I'm putting it in almost perfect because this movie is just way too long. There's certain parts at the end where you feel like it's about to end, and it just keeps going, and it just keeps going. And you feel like it's about to end again. Okay, it's like, here we go, it's about to end now. And it just keeps going. And I watched this movie like 6 times. It felt the same way every single time. I'm like, even though I knew it was coming next because I had seen the movie, it's like there were multiple parts of this movie that like were perfect to end on. Such as the scene where Gwen gets teleported back to her home. That would have been a good way to end that movie. Now with the way that they didn't end it, that's also a good way. But it's just like it took like so fucking long to get there. You know, I started to hate this movie every time I watched it because I wanted to keep showing it to friends. I don't hate the movie. It's good. It's a good movie. The animation is awesome. You know, the whole story between Miles Morales and him choosing his path and not wanting to go down the same canonical path as every other Spider-Man has gone. I thought that was really interesting. I enjoyed all the Easter eggs, all the, you know, video game references, all the comic references, all the movie references with Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield. All that shit was awesome. You know, I loved Spider-Man with No Way Home, so it was good to see them even if it was just reused footage. So yeah, definitely great movie. But like I said, it's just way too long. Certainly a lot that they could have taken out, especially towards that final act. There was just a lot of just adding time. So, but overall, great, almost perfect film. Really, really good. All right, Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Pretty mid. Now, I don't mean that in like kind of an offensive way. It's pretty mid because it's just a regular. It's one of the better Transformers movies. I'm not a huge Transformer fan, not because I don't think they're lame. It's just that all the movies they're just the same thing. You know, oh, you've never seen anything like this before. I mean, come on, how many times have we heard that? You know, so and they weren't even that big of a threat. You know. So what you have here is like a whole race of animal characteristic like Transformers, who are you know, part of the legendary set of Transformers. If you're a huge Transformer fan, like, you know, like these are like legendary type Transformers characters through like action figures and all that stuff. I didn't know much about them, so I wasn't really that hyped to watch this movie. Where this movie falls for me, most definitely, is a lot of attempted humor that most of the time falls pretty flat. And then also you have this whole plot that we've just seen time and time again, like almost just like I said with Strays. I mean, you kind of watch any Transformers movie, you kind of feel like it's just the same movie, you know. This one, I mean, this one, it's one, like I said, it's one of the better ones. It's really fun. I did enjoy the main character. You know, it was cool to watch him have like that cool suit at the end. I don't know what the franchise holds because of that ending where they have like a little G.I. Joe crossover. I don't know what that was about, but I guess we'll see. I mean, it's okay for what it was. I mean, Bumblebee was really cool at the end. I mean, that's really it. I mean, it's just pretty mid. I mean, that's what I pretty much expected, anyways. You know, so until we get like some Transformers movies that are just like completely like out of this world, like stellar. I mean, you know, I think most of them I could pretty much say are just pretty mid. All right, next we have Sound of Freedom. It is a masterpiece. Sound of Freedom. I really love this movie. You know, it's about human trafficking. Watching this, you know, this true story, this movie based on a true story about a real person who saved hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids from the billion-dollar industry of human trafficking. It was so heartwarming to see him being able to reunite these children with their families. And so it intrigued me to do a lot of research on that movie, excuse me, the person that this movie is based on. So it comes to movies like this always put a smile on your face, especially when they do very successful. I mean, this movie made like 10, 15 times more than the budget was. And it's awesome to see movies like this be very successful, especially with the human trafficking industry today. It's a terrible world, especially for our youth. You know, it's absolutely just horrible to know that children are out there being forced to, you know, physically be on themselves with adult people who are it's a horrible business. Obviously, it's a lot more than that usually, but this movie does a really good, awesome job with just showing how that dark world is a part of all. It's always surrounded by us. You know, our children could be kidnapped at any second of the day and brought into this business, and horrible things will always happen to them. So, a really awesome movie. I don't understand the controversy behind it. And if anyone tries to tell me otherwise, I've heard the same things over and over again. You guys need to get over it. There's no controversy behind this film. It is important that we have a film like this today. So please get over it. Next we have Oppenheimer. And I'm going to put this in masterpiece. Masterpiece. I was going to put in Almost Perfect, but I remember when I watched it my second time, I was like, you know what? This movie's a masterpiece. I like it. You know, Oppenheimer was it's just a fascinating story of a man to read about. You know, I knew about Oppenheimer way before this movie came out. You know, obviously a lot of people didn't. But Oppenheimer, really tragic story, you know, of the atomic bomb and a real man getting into the mental state of the man who created one of the most deadliest weapons of all time. It's a really important thing, and of course Christopher Nolan, he's a great filmmaker, so he was able to perfectly show, you know, along with Cillian Murphy's performance as Oppenheimer, you know, those two together. I mean, they created one of the most phenomenal film pieces ever to be created. So definitely check this out if you have not watched it. Next we have The Creator, and I actually just watched this last night because I missed it in the theater. The Creator, I'm actually going to put it in Almost Perfect. Now, the only reason why I put it in Almost Perfect is because they do a lot with trying at the end of the movie to have you side with AI at the end. And I kind of laughed at that because it's just like we live in a world today where we should not trust AI at all. I mean, just look at everything that's going on. So the fact that this movie was, it's not trying to like persuade you to AI in real life, but what happens at the end of the movie where he sides with AI at the end, I thought that was funny. It kind of made me laugh. But at the same time, it did make sense. This movie does a really good job with showing a lot of heart between, this man who works for the government and trying to save this child that was made for a weapon reasons. And it's an awesome future. You kind of see a lot of different robot styles. You kind of see it, and I would say it's definitely almost perfect. Saw X, yes, Saw X. You already know where this is going. Masterpiece. Now, except for that fucking credit scene, that after credit scene, I'll make a separate video about that. Why I really love and I really hate that after credit scene for Saw X. This movie is phenomenal. I'm so glad that it got all the praise that it did because I am a huge Saw fan. The original Saw is still my favorite horror movie of all time. And Saw X it was phenomenal. They really did a great job with turning John Kramer into the main character, and it was crazy that you could root for him. You root for him, and all the people that are in these traps, they definitely deserve to be where they are, and the traps are all great, and it was great to see Amanda. It was great to see a bit of Hoffman again, and big characters in this franchise. So I cannot wait to see what they do with the next Saw next year. I'm glad that I'm in an era where they are making yearly Saw movies again. I was a huge fan of these movies growing up. I am a huge fan today. Saw is my favorite horror franchise, even though a lot of them are. But I love Saw, so I cannot wait to see what they do with the next film. Five Nights at Freddy's. Pretty mid. Not gonna lie. What they do great is they do a great job with showing a lot of Easter eggs that I noticed because I am familiar with the story and with these games. Matthew Lillard, even though he's not in this film that much, he does a good job of being William Afton. I kind of wish I kind of seen him a bit more, just to get like a sense of his character, whatever. But I think he did a good job. Where this movie just goes really wrong for me is the whole just teaming up with the child, and like I know why they were doing it, and I know, like, again with the Mario movie, it's meant for kids. Okay, I know that, but they had so much potential for a rated R Friday Nights at Freddy's movie. They could have done a lot. So that whole building the fort shit, I did not fuck with that at all. I didn't like that. So, a lot of childlike things that happen in this movie that I really don't feel like should have fit in. Five Nights at Freddy's has a lot more going for it than that. And I feel like this movie, like, again, it shouldn't have been rated PG-13. It should have been R. It should have been imagine what they could have done with that. So it could have been a lot better. Josh Hutcherson, he's really good in this movie as Mike Schmidt. I did enjoy the whole story element behind his brother going missing and stuff like that. I don't know if he'll be returning again in the second film, but I mean, I guess we'll find out. But again, I enjoyed all the Easter eggs. I understood all of them. Yeah, the whole "it's me" thing, the whole "I always come back." It was pretty cool to hear Foxy's like do do thing. So I like I said, I really enjoyed it. But at the end of the day, it's pretty mid. So now we're at the final one, and this is interesting because I just did a review on this film, and I think that this movie is almost perfect. Almost perfect. Now, I know it has issues, okay? I know it has issues, but Silent Night is a really great film, and please, guys, I beg you to watch it. It is a story about a guy, a grieving father, who gets revenge for his son's killers on Christmas night. And, you know, Joel Kinnaman in this movie is awesome. He's fucking awesome. Even though no one doesn't really talk in this film, I think that everything about this film, leading from him training to the final act, all of it is so awesome and so heartwarming at the end. I did a whole review on it, so if you guys are interested, please watch that review. I talk a lot more about it, but I please recommend this. It's like the most misunderstood movie of this year. So guys, please recommend you guys watch this movie. So now what I'm gonna do to end this video is, so for each category, I'm going to be putting like basically which in that category are from best to worst. So we'll start off with the worst category. I think that even though both movies are fucking horrible, Strays is a better movie for me to watch. I'd rather watch Strays over Infinity Pool, so over that. So, of course, Infinity Pool is the worst one on this list. I really don't ever recommend that movie, or even Strays, but I'd rather watch Strays over Infinity Pool. So then, in Could Be Better, we have Renfield as the best one in Could Be Better, Scream 6 after that, and then Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. You know, like I said, just simple as that, all three of these movies could have been better. But out of the three, I would choose Renfield. And then pretty mid, we have Five Nights at Freddy's at the first, Transformers Rise of the Beasts, and the Mario film. So again, pretty mid movies, a lot of it that like do really, really good job, and then at the same time, a lot of problems, a lot of things that could be worked on, and hopefully if any of these movies get a sequel, we don't see those problems again. Almost Perfect, Silent Night definitely is the best one out of all of these movies right here. You know, a lot of good and then some bad things, but Silent Night is definitely one of the biggest, probably the biggest surprise of this year. So again, I highly praise this movie. I really recommend that you guys watch this film. And then we have Evil Dead at the Last, just the same issues over and over again. Just another film that while it's great for what it is, I don't feel like it's for me. The Creator after that, Knock at the Cabin, Missing, and then the new Spider-Man film with Evil Dead at Last. And then here's a list. And at the top of this list is what I believe to be the best film out of this year. The number one film for me this year in 2023 is Sound of Freedom. Sound of Freedom, I think, is one of the most heartwarming movies I've ever watched. All these movies in the masterpiece category they're all masterpieces, obviously. But out of all of them, I think the best film that came out this year is Sound of Freedom. I fully believe that to my core, that if you watch this film, you know, you will be fully touched by it all the way. It's horrible to see what happens to children in this world. It's absolutely horrible. So this movie brings a lot of awareness to that, and it's a very powerful film. Very powerful film. Next to that, so we have Saw X, John Wick Chapter 4, Inside with Willem Dafoe, Sisu, Oppenheimer, and Suzume. All right. Well, everybody, that's it from me. This is my final video for this year. I will be updating you guys and letting you know what I have planned for the month of January and for actually all of this year. So I'm already ready for a few films coming out next year. I don't know a lot about what's coming out, but I know there's a few things that are coming that I can't wait to see. So that's it, guys. As we wrap up with 2023, I hope you all have a great Christmas. God bless you all, and I thank you guys for all your comments, all your supports, for watching and checking my videos out. It's been a crazy year, so definitely kind of not excited, but also kind of excited for what the next year has. So hopefully we'll have a lot of good horror movies like we did last year. But thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you guys for taking this time, and I really appreciate it, guys. So I'll see you all next year.
Because